I'd like to welcome you to the next video in the MSI 8080 CPA Rev4 build series. In this video, we're going to jump in and actually do a full functional test of the CPA panel. So let's get to it. With all the switches installed, we can go ahead and do a system test here. Click the power on. So the configuration of the machine is, of course, the CPA panel. I've got the MPU-A card back here and the data cable plugged in, and there's a RAM card sitting behind it. And that RAM card's sitting in low memory, so it starts at address 0000 hex. And we're just going to go through the same process we did earlier to test. So I should be able to put the machine in a run state, and we see it executing code. The addresses are changing. I should be able to halt it. I should be able to reset it and see all of the LEDs here come on and the 4 over here stay off. Deposit doesn't do anything at this point that we can see. Deposit next should increment the addresses. Examine should examine the addresses on the switches here. If I change a bit, it'll examine that address. And examine next should just run through, step through memory. So let's examine address 0000. That gets all the address bits low. And let's toggle on a small program. So DB, and I'm going to push up here to deposit that at address 0. FF, I'm going to push down to deposit it at the next address. It'll increment the address and then deposit that value into that address. There's the FF. D3, again an FF. A C3, a 0000. But the switches all down. Let's examine memory address is 0, and we see a DB here. That DB is an import command. If we examine the next address, we'll see the port address is FF. The import FF reads the programmed input switches here, so it'll read whatever settings these switches are set to. The D3 here is an output command. Port number's FF. That'll write that value to these LEDs. The C3 is a jump instruction, and the jump address will be 0000. Let's go back and examine. Looks like the program's entered correctly. Let's run it. And what we should see here is when I change one of the switches, the corresponding LED should change state. So as I flip the switches up, the LED goes off, and bring them down, the LED comes on. So that's correct. That's correct behavior here. So I can go ahead and halt the machine. We're sitting at address 00, and I'm going to single step through this program. So we're going to execute the D3, the import. The port address is FF. There's the FF put out for it to read from the port. There's the D3 that says do the right port. Port's going to be FF. There's the FF again. And the deposit has occurred, and because all the switches are down, all the LEDs are on. Remember that in this configuration, the default, the LEDs are opposite the switch position. So switch is low, LEDs are on. We're looking at the C3 instruction. The address it's going to jump to is 0000, and when I hit the switch one more time, we should see the address bits come back around to 00, and it did. We'll now set a bit pattern here. It's sitting on the import command. From port FF, it's read it. Did I hit run accidentally? I did. Let me halt this and get back to address 00. And so I hit the wrong switch there. Set a bit pattern up and single step. So we're going to execute the D3 from port FF. We're going to write out, so the DB command writes out to port FF. There's the FF, and there's the bit pattern written to the out port, and then we're going to jump around to address 0, which we're back to. One thing you may have noticed here, and I'll set a bit pattern here, is if I keep single stepping, there's the FF, the address to read from. You'll see the state of the data switches echoed up here on the data bus. So the import is actually going out and reading the switches on the data bus. And again, we can loop around and we should see the output change, and we did. And go ahead and run it, and of course the LEDs will follow the switch pattern. So this looks to be like a fully, to me, operational CPA. Everything that I can test here works. We can enter programs, we can single step, we can halt and run. Halt, we can do a reset of the machine. In a running state, reset should result in us being halted, and it does. We can do an examine next. And we can set some bit pattern here, and we can deposit that into memory and just keep depositing that and additional bytes above. So this CPA panel is fully working as expected, has full control of the machine. This is a successful build at this point. So really the next thing will be the front panel graphics and the acrylic sheets that go on, and we'll tackle that in a future video. Appreciate you watching the video. Subscription, like, comments, etc. are all welcomed. I hope this video was useful. Looks like in the next video we're going to get all the acrylics installed. It's getting really exciting here, almost to the end of this. So I hope to see you in that video.